Hi, this is Scott with eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at and installing our EcoHitch Hidden Hitch on our 2025 Subaru Forester. One of the things I like about this hidden hitch on our Subaru is how we don't have a visible cross tube on this one. It's all hidden behind our fascia, and all you really see is just the receiver and our safety chain loops hanging down. Another thing I like is the finish on this one. It's going to have a really nice heavy duty, almost a flat black finish on it, and it matches up really well with the fascia on our Subaru. Subaru is a really popular vehicle, and a lot of people want to have a hitch on theirs just to add on to a lot of their capabilities. One of the things that are nice for is, say you do a lot of camping with your Subaru and you need some more room in the back, you can always add a cargo carrier on the back this way, and you're going to really open up your possibilities and allow you to haul more gear on the back. Another thing people get them for is bike carriers. This one's going to have a really high tongue weight capacity, so it's going to hold most of your heavier bikes like your fat tire bikes or any of your electric style bikes that have a little more weight to them. And that's really nice with this hitch, having that higher tongue weight capability. This hitch is going to have a tongue weight rating of 525 pounds. That's going to be the weight of your bike rack loaded down with your bikes or your cargo carrier loaded down with all of your gear. Now this hitch is going to have a gross trailer weight rating of 3,500 pounds. That's going to be the weight of your trailer and everything you have loaded on that. It's always a good idea to take a look in your owner's manual and make sure that you're not exceeding any of your maximum trailer weight ratings or towing ratings that are listed in your owner's manual. So it's usually a good idea to just go by the lowest number between your hitch and your owner's manual. This hitch is going to have a 5/8 pinhole opening, and that's going to accept your pin, and that's going to hold in any of your accessories that you have. Now this hitch won't come with a pin and clip, so you may want to pick one up, or you could take a look at a lot of your accessories that you have or you plan on getting already have a pin and clip with that. Other than that, this hitch is going to have really heavy duty safety chain loops, and that's going to accept either your S style hooks or your clevis style hooks very easily. So that's going to have you set up for your light trailer towing needs. As far as measurements go for this hitch, from the ground to the inside top of our receiver, we're looking at right at around 15 inches. And with that measurement, you'll be able to decide on if you need any rise of the shank of either your bike racks or your cargo carriers for clearance. Now from the center of the pinhole out to the edge of our bumper, we're looking at right around 2.5 inches. And with that measurement, you'll be able to decide on if you have any cargo carriers or bike racks that fold up or stow away, if they'll make any contact with the back of your vehicle. One thing I did notice about this hitch is it does take a little bit to get this one installed. You are going to be having to remove the rear fascia, but it does have its payoffs as far as looks. This one's going to look really good on here with no cross tube showing underneath. It is going to maintain about the same tongue weight ratings and tow ratings as other hitches that we have to offer, but there are a couple more. If you're looking for something that's a little bit easier to install, you can take a look at either our eTrailer hitch or our Curt hitch. Those are going to really cut down on install time with this one. But if you're looking for something that really looks good and has a hidden cross tube, this one's going to be the way to go. So if you have any questions or comments about this hitch for your Subaru Forester, you can always leave a question or comment down below in the comment section, or you can get a hold of one of our experts here at eTrailer. They'd be happy to help you out. Now, as far as installation goes, you will be having to take the fascia off, and it will be a little bit tricky to do, but it's not too bad. It's something you could definitely get done in your driveway or in your garage in an afternoon. But if it's something you don't have time to do yourself, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something done for you locally. If it's something you feel like tackling yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, we have the hatch of our Subaru opened up. And first thing we want to do is we want to get our tail lights out. So inside, we're going to have 2 plastic screws. And with these, you may have to hold on to the outer ring of it and just kind of hold that in place and just lightly turn those. After you get them so far, you'll be able to pull those right out. Want to carefully pop our plastic piece out. We'll get that set aside. Now, once we're behind here, we're going to have 2 screws we need to remove. You can either use a 10mm socket or a Phillips screwdriver. With those out, we're just going to grab our tail light, kind of wiggle a little bit, pull it back. Now in behind here, we're going to have this plug. You're going to have a little tab, push down on that tab, pull out. Now we can set our tail light aside. On each side, on the inside of our fender well, on our model, we're going to have two different little clips that we need to pop out. On some models, you may have a mud flap hanging down. You may need to unscrew that or pull the clips out of this. On ours, we just have the two. So all I'm going to do is just take a screwdriver and pop it up underneath my clip, wiggle that back and forth, pull that out. Those come out pretty easy. Now we can just carefully pull back on our fender trim, work our way back, and that's going to pop right off for us. Now behind our trim, we're going to have one either Phillips or 10mm screw. I'm just going to use a Phillips screwdriver. Just get those removed. Now we'll just remove that screw and we'll follow that procedure on both sides. Underneath the bottom of our fascia, we're going to have some plastic pop clips that we're going to need to remove. And we're just going to get in there with our screwdriver. And sometimes if these get a little grit or something in there, you may need to wiggle them around to get them to pop out, like this one. And they can get a little bit stuck in there. Now moving them right along, we won't have to remove all of them because some of them will come off. They're just kind of holding panels together. So you just want to run along and look for the ones that are held on to the body. Just get those popped out. Now starting on the fender well area, we're just going to start popping our fascia back. And as you can see, I do have some blue painter's tape here. I like to have that there so that way our panels don't rub together as we're taking this apart. Now once you get your fascia pulled back, there will be an electrical connection. You just want to get that pushed in. Now we can set our fascia aside. We need to get our bumper beam out of the way. So on each side, we're going to have 2 bolts and 1 nut, and these are all going to be 14mm. We're just going to get those removed. Once we get down to our last bolt, you want to make sure you're holding your bumper beam so that way it don't fall off. Now that we have all our hardware out, we can just remove our bumper beam. We're going to need to lower our exhaust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a strap, and what I want to do is just get this tightened up, and it's going to support our exhaust so that way it doesn't fall down too far when we remove our isolators towards the rear. To make getting our isolators off of there a little bit easier, what I like to do is take a little bit of soapy water, and what we have here is just some dish soap and water, and I like to spray that on my hangers. And after you get that sprayed on there, just kind of wiggle your exhaust around. That's going to work that soapy water into your isolators. We're going to have 2 of them back here that we're going to need to remove, and I'm going to do that on both of those. To remove these, there's a couple different ways you can do this. I'm just going to use my pry bar and just find a good spot. And that one actually came off pretty easy. Now I'll do the same thing for the one here in the back. What we're looking for is we want to get some room up in here so we can get tools and our hardware in place. We're also going to need to remove this heat shield. We're going to need a little bit more room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop off this isolator that's up here more towards the front. And when I do that, I just want to hold the exhaust up And after I've done that, I'm going to lower my strap just a little bit to give me a little more room. That'll open things up so I can get up in here. After I've done that, I'm going to take a 10mm socket and we'll get all of our bolts underneath here removed. We're going to have 4 of those. With the 4 out, we're going to have 1 more right here towards the back. With our hardware all out, we can move our heat shield out of the way. Underneath our vehicle on both sides, we're going to have these little rubber plugs. We're going to go ahead and pop these out. And we will be using 1 or 2 of the holes on these. And if not, we can always pop these back in, the ones we're not using, but it's also going to give us a little bit of room on the inside of our frame channel to slide our hitch in place. Now we're just going to lift our hitch into position and we'll slide the ends into the frame. Just want to line up the studs. And on each side, we're going to want to take a washer, lock washer, and the nut. Let's get those started on. Now for our hardware that goes in through the back, all we're going to use is our bolt that comes in the kit, and we're going to use a split washer, flat washer, and we're just going to get those loosely in place for now. Now for our hardware that we need to get into our frame, in your kit you're going to have this fish wire, and how we're going to do that is we're going to go in through the hole where you can feel our hitch is. We're going to go right through that hole and we're going to push our fish wire back to the opening in our hitch. We have the coiled side of our fish wire through. What we're going to do now is we're going to get one of our star washers, get that on our bolt. We're going to take our flat washer, get that in place. Now we can thread that onto our fish wire. And keep in mind, you're going to have one of these fish wires in your kit, so when you do this side, make sure you just unthread your fish wire because you're going to need it on the other side. Now we'll just take our washer and our star washer, just feed everything into the frame. Now we can pull the other end of our fish wire. That's going to pull our hardware down through our hole. Now we can unthread our wire and take our plate washer, our lock washer, and our nut. Just get those started on our hardware. And you'll probably have to hold your bolt to keep it from turning till you get it so far up. Then you can hold the bottom of it. Let's get it down as far as you can go, finger tight. With all of our hardware in place, we just want to come back through and make sure our hitch looks nice and centered. After we do that, we'll come back through and snug down all of our hardware. Torque down all of our hardware to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. Now keep in mind, you are going to want to take a look at your different sizes of hardware. There are different torque specs for those. And if you don't have a torque wrench, you can pick one up here at eTrailer. We do have options available for those, or you can take a look at your local auto parts store. You should be able to rent one there. On our heat shield we have marked out, we're going to need to trim that to clear for where the hardware sticks out from underneath of our frame. So all I'm going to do is just use some tin snips and just get this cut out. Make sure you're wearing gloves when you're doing this. This stuff can get pretty sharp. Just get our heat shield put back into place. Lift our exhaust back into position, and one little trick I like to do is go ahead and spray your isolators back down with a little bit of soapy water. You can always hit the pins as well. That's just going to help you get everything to go back into place a little bit easier for you. Now we'll just lift everything up, and these should go back on by hand fairly easily. With all of our isolators in place, now we can remove our cam buckle strap. Now on our model, we had a kick sensor in the way, so we ended up undoing all of our clips and just put that out of the way for now. And we went ahead and marked out our diagram of where we're going to be making our cut according to what the instructions said. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back through with my multi-tool and just get this cut out. We're going to be cutting along this line over and then up over into here. And we're going to use a multi-tool that's going to give us a nice clean cut. With our cut made, we can always come back through with a file or a piece of sandpaper and just kind of clean up these edges. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to get an idea of where we have to trim up our housing for where our kick sensor wires go. So what we have here is we're just going to go by the back of this and just get this trimmed out. But before we start trimming anything, we got to make sure and get our wires out of the back of our housing. Now we're going to have to remove both of these sets of wires and just get this down to the plastic. So I'm going to start unclipping these and get our wires moved out to a safe location where I can make my cuts. To get our clips out, I'm just going to take a pair of pliers and squeeze in these little tabs and push our clips through. This can be a little tricky. Once you get both sides pushed in, your clip will just pop right out, and we'll get those set off to the side. We have our kick sensor wires out of the way. We got those pulled out of our mount, and we're just going to keep them over there where we have them safe. Now, we went ahead and put our housing for our kick sensors back on and basically just kind of marked on the inside of it where we're going to make our cuts. We're going to be cutting out quite a bit of this, and we're going to end up having to reroute our kick sensor wires. So I have this all marked out, and now I'm just going to make our cut, and then I'll test fit it and see how it looks. We have everything cut out, and one recommendation I'll make on this one, it's probably a good idea to go a little bit bigger with your cuts in this. That way, any of this rough plastic is going to be hidden behind your fascia and you won't see any of this. Now we got our wires clipped back in place, and what I had to do is run both of my sets of wires up around here. So what I started out doing is I started on this end and just ran it into its slot, clipped it, ran it up here, got it clipped in place, ran it up and over, ran it over to here, clipped it in place, and then I ended up getting it zip tied off on two places here where it's going to go around the hitch. So that's going to not only hold up our wires, but to protect them from getting down into the hitch. So now the same thing we did with our blue one, we ran it up and it actually went its full length where it's supposed to go, where our white one came up a little bit shorter, but it still should work as a kick sensor. Now we'll come back through with our pop clips and just get our mount for our kick sensor wires put back in place. And that was a look at our EcoHitch Hidden Hitch on our 2025 Subaru Forester. I'm Scott with eTrailer, and thanks for watching.